Rigby's Roads, Chapter 18, Bag of Tricks and Evel Thoughts. Jack dressed while Henry finished taking his shower. Jack's hangover was partially washed away by his long hot shower, but now his stomach was growling and demanded attention. It was Sunday afternoon, and technically, the Sturgis rally didn't even officially begin its week of madness until Monday. Jack felt he had already lived a lifetime of adventure in the past 2 days, but the real excitement hadn't even started yet. He was less than an hour from getting back the bag and eliminating the FBI as one less monkey on his back. Seeing the safe return of Yogi was another concern. Jack sat on the edge of the bed, flipping through the channels, waiting for Henry to get dressed. It was the longest hour in his life. Now that he had the bag, he wondered how would he get it to the FBI. He had no way of contacting them, but was sure they were following his every move. He hadn't seen Scud for 2 days, but that didn't mean there weren't other FBI bikers scattered all over town. All I have to do is go outside, hold the bag in the air, and they'll come running out of the bushes in seconds. After Henry finished getting dressed, they made their way out to the front of the hotel. People were coming and going, mostly checking in. Jack slowly turned and surveyed the area, trying to spot the FBI. His dark sunglasses made him feel safe as he purposely stared at the bikers in the street. He would strain his eyes slyly to the extreme right and left as he mentally checked off each person who might be watching him. Finally, he could see Red and Pinky coming up the driveway. Jack moved his head to the left, trying to see the bag bungeed to the back of Pinky's bike. Pinky had a mountain of bags behind him, tied down with bungee cords, giving him a great back support. Jack focused on the bags as he rode closer. He realized he had never officially met Pinky, except for that one time in his yard when they had made his house a stop on their poker run. As Pinky pulled up and stopped, Jack questioned him right away. The bag, where's the bag? Pinky was revving up his Harley the whole time Jack was asking him. The straight exhaust pipes put out a blasting noise, which made it hard to hear any words. Pinky gave Jack the shh sign and nodded in different directions towards some of the people standing by. Jack realized that Pinky was pointing out that possible interested parties may be listening in, so he stopped asking. Hey, give me a hand with my bags, will you? I'm checking in. Red and Pinky turned off their bikes, and as Pinky went inside to check in, Red started to dismantle the spider web of cords holding down Pinky's mountain of bags. Although the bag was not visible, Jack was eagerly guessing which one of the larger bags might have the smaller bag inside. The three of them gathered up the bags and followed Pinky to his room. As soon as the door closed, Jack started to ask, "Where's the—" Pinky interrupted. "Sorry, Jack, I don't have the bag. It was stolen. Wheels already filled me in about your situation, and he sent me here to tell you what happened. I'm sorry." Jack was numb. With his back against the wall, he slid to the floor in agonizing defeat. He brought his hands up and put them on the top of his head. He stared at the floor. His life was over. Red and Henry both shrugged their shoulders and gave each other the "what the hell's going on" look. Pinky added, "There's still an outside chance of getting it back." Jack looked up slowly. "How?" "I'm pretty sure I know who has it." Jack was excited. "You saw who took it?" "Yes, well, no, not exactly. Let me explain. When I stopped for gas in Grand Junction, Colorado 2 days ago, I pulled into the gas station at the same time as the Boss Stones did. I was on my way to see Rose, my pen pal." Red interrupted, laughing. "You have a pen pal?" "Shh." Jack shushed her like steam from a locomotive and turned back towards Pinky. "Go on." "Anyway, there were about 25 of them, and we all aimed for the empty gas pump at the same time, and it was a big station with 8 rows of gas pumps, and I beat the last 2 dudes to the only remaining unused pump." I smiled, shrugged my shoulders, and gassed up while they sat there and watched me. When I finished gassing up, I got a drink, rechecked the map, used the bathroom, and when I came out, they were gone, and so was the bag. Jack shrugged his shoulders and raised his hands, indicating he was waiting for something else. He was waiting for more of the story, but Pinky had a blank look on his face. Jack cross-examined him. So I missed the part about the outside chance of getting the bag back? Pinky explained. I know they were headed here. I heard them talking about Sturgis when I was getting a drink. Jack let out a pissed-off laugh. Huh! Oh, that makes me feel a lot better. Let me see. We have 500,000 motorcycles, and each one has 2 to 4 bags on them. So that's only 1 to 2 million bags to look at. Oh, I feel so much better now. Pinky shot back. Hey, look, dude. Yes, they stole your bag, but it had my stuff in it, and there was nothing I could do about it. So give me a break, huh? I'm sorry, Pinky, but if I don't find that bag, I'm going to federal prison for the rest of my life. Red and Henry's heads snapped towards each other in shock, as they were both trying to read each other's reaction to see if they knew something. They both were stunned. The room was quiet. Nobody moved or said anything. Finally, Jack opened up. Look, what I'm about to tell you stays in this room, and I want you to promise me that you'll never repeat what I'm about to say to anybody. I need you to promise me. This is serious. With startled looks on their faces, they all promised, and Jack proceeded to tell them the story of the bag. He changed the part about how it originally came into his possession, simply stating that Yogi had found it. But everything after that was the truth. They listened intently. As the details became heavier, one by one they collapsed onto the beds in the room, unable to have the strength to stand while listening. They were blown away by the importance of the bag, the agent killed in Switzerland, the microdots hidden in the lining of the bag indicating the bank accounts, the FBI threats, his phone and computer being bugged, and the president wanting hourly updates from the FBI. Each new detail left them stunned. When he finished, they sat there staring ahead, not even looking at each other. Jack broke the silence. Well, there's 2 million bags, all within 100 square miles. Any ideas? Red was the first to say something. There may be 500,000 bikers, but there's only one Boss Stone's Club. We can put the word out that we're looking for them. No, Jack yelled. I don't want this to get out and scare them away. Red assured him. These guys don't scare, Jack, and we can do it discreetly. We have over 35 of our chapter members scattered all over the place. Some in campgrounds, some in hotels. We can simply put out the word that we only want to find the Boss Stones to do business. It happens all week up here. Our chapter is getting together tonight for Wheel's annual party, so it's perfect timing. We'll tell our members to be on the lookout, and we'll find that bag within 48 hours. I guarantee it. They rode into town so Jack could get his bike. They told Wheels the plan, and he agreed it was doable. He assured them they would indeed find the Boss Stones. Jack was glad to see his bike parked off to the side. He started the bike while Henry climbed on to the back of Red's. Pinky and Big Tony joined them, and they rode to the Buffalo Chip campground to start spreading the word that Wheels wanted to talk with the Boss Stones. They pulled over at the entrance of the campground to get an official wristband that had to be worn at all times. Red warned them, whatever you do, don't take it off. It's your pass to get in here for the whole week. Red paid for Jack and Henry's. Compliments of Wheels, she said, flashing the company credit card. The campground was unbelievable. It was like a scene from Mad Max, but with more modern facilities. There was a fully stocked convenience store, a steakhouse with rooftop seating, a Taco Bell, Subway sandwich shop, an A&W root beer stand, Domino's Pizza, beer stands that were festooned with banners and flags that had signs that read, "Open at 7 a.m." They had 2 stages for music and camping areas as far as the eye could see. A city within a city that had an entertainment schedule to satisfy every taste, including events for the tasteless. They parked their bikes and walked through the crowd towards one of the stages. They passed a full-size professional boxing ring where 2 guys were going at it like rock'em sock'em robots while their biker buddies cheered them on. Motorcycles were constantly riding down the dirt roads in a non-stop procession like ants. Jack and Henry stopped dead in their tracks, frozen at the upcoming sight. A completely naked woman was riding her bike toward them, and they stared at her as she passed, and they continued staring, until she was no longer in sight. Red turned and laughed. Get used to it. Jack now believed if there was one place on earth for a man to escape a midlife crisis, this was surely it. But his mind was still on the bag, and he was reminded about it when Red would stop people she knew and say, "If you spot any of the Boss Stones, tell them Wheels from Colorado wants a sit-down." Jack looked at Red. "Don't we have to tell them a time and a place to meet?" "No. Once the word is out, they'll know how to make contact at the display downtown, and we'll make plans from there." In a field up ahead, they saw a crowd gathering to watch what Red described as a slow race. "It's a race to the finish line," she explained. "The slowest one, the one that crosses the finish line last, wins. You're not allowed to touch a foot to the ground. If you do, you're out." They watched as bikers were riding so slow they sometimes were completely stopped and paused before jerking ahead, trying to recapture their balance. It took a great skill to ride that slow and not put your foot down. Jack was sure this was something he could at least attempt to do. "I can do that." "Oh, really?" Red teased him a little bit. "And when do you plan on doing it? I want to see that." "Maybe in a couple of days, if we get all this bullshit taken care of first." Red noticed that although Jack was enjoying himself a little bit, he was still stressed on the inside. She grabbed his arm and linked it with hers, and did the same to Henry on her other arm. "Come on, boys, let's go see some real entertainment." As they walked arm in arm, with Red in the middle, they felt important and proud to be escorting this beautiful, headstrong woman, even though in reality she was escorting them. Up ahead, a banner proclaimed, "The World Pickle Lickin' Contest." The women contestants went up on stage and proceeded to do things to those giant pickles that made both Jack and Henry blush, while Red was hooting and hollering up a storm with the rest of the crowd. While staring at the stage, Henry managed only one sentence. "How could she swallow the whole pickle and pull it back out again?" Red explained with a broad smile. "Practice, Hammer. She gets a lot of practice." Toward the end of the day, it was starting to get dark, and Red reminded them of the dinner back in town. When they left the campground, Red and Henry zoomed out into traffic ahead of Jack, who now had to wait almost 5 minutes before he was able to cross the road. He knew his way back to town, and he didn't think much of being separated. The traffic slowed to a stop. Nothing was moving. He could hear an ambulance coming up from behind him, and finally watched it pass him on the road shoulder. As he slowly rode up the highway, sometimes almost walking his bike at a snail's pace, he realized this was a good time to practice his slow riding for the contest. About 15 minutes later, he could see the police lights up ahead and what appeared to be a bad accident. He stood up on his foot pegs to get a better view, thinking only of Red and Henry and hoping it wasn't them. A large tractor-trailer was off to the side of the road, and a motorcycle was crushed under the double set of rear tires. A pool of blood was gloomily present. The EMS crew was guiding the stretcher into the back of the ambulance. The injured person was still alive, but was strapped to a backboard. Not a good sign, but at least it wasn't a body bag. And more importantly, it wasn't Red or Henry. Jack finally made it to town, and after finding a place to park, he realized he was about 40 minutes behind Red and Henry. As he made his way into the restaurant, the band wasn't on stage. The jukebox was silent, and a crowd of people had formed a large circle around one table near the bar. Jack was curious. "What's going on?" Several bikers turned and shushed him. They were listening to a man telling a story. The entire bar had his attention. The voice sounded familiar, but Jack couldn't place it. Every once in a while, a camera flash would brighten up the room, and Jack started to circle the crowd, looking for a way to get a view of who it was. Finally, he stood on a chair like some of the others around him were doing, and he caught a glimpse of that famous shirt with the stars and stripes. It was Evel Knievel holding court, signing autographs, having his picture taken with the crowd. But Knievel wasn't doing all of the talking. He couldn't believe his eyes. It was Henry sitting next to Knievel. Henry was doing the talking. Henry? Jack called out loud, confused. Shh! A biker scorned him. Hammer's telling a story. But that's my neighbor. A woman standing on the chair next to him poked him and warned him, Shut up, and I ain't telling you again. Henry was telling the story about his bird Pete and his wall explorations. The crowd was in hysterics. A tap on Jack's back caused him to turn and see Wheels, who motioned him down from the chair. Wheels told him, We're eating in the back room. Come on back when you're done. Jack stood back up on the chair. Why is Henry sitting next to Evel Knievel like he knew him? Evel leaned over and whispered into Henry's ear, and they both laughed out loud. They did know each other. That's bizarre. Jack slowly stepped down off the chair and walked into the back room to Wheels' dinner party. Wheels asked out loud, Hey, Jack, what's the story about Henry and Knievel? Jack shrugged his shoulders. I have no idea. Jack ordered a steak, and Wheels kept the table flowing with pitchers of beer. About 20 minutes later, the band started up again, and Henry walked into the room and sat down. Everybody was staring at him while he studied the menu. Finally, Jack shouted, Well? Henry looked up. What? How the hell do you know Evel Knievel? Oh, we met by accident many years ago, Henry explained nonchalantly as he continued to examine the menu again. Jack reached out with his hand, pulled down the top of Henry's menu, making eye contact with him. And? Henry stopped the waitress. I have the steak special, medium, with french fries and onion rings. And after hesitating for a moment and seeing that all eyes were on him, he declared, And bring me a picture of Mr. Pibb. Red, who was sitting next to Henry, had a big smile on her face. She brought her hand up to her chin with her elbow resting on the table and waited for him to start his story. Henry cracked a little smile and began, Okay, listen up. It was New Year's Eve, 1967. I was 12 years old. My dad decided to take us on a trip to see Evel jump over the fountains in front of Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. You know the story. He successfully cleared the fountains, but his landing was a disaster. We were standing in the parking lot of the Dunes Hotel next door. That was the closest we could get. After he crashed, they brought the ambulance in to take him to the hospital. As the ambulance started to drive away, there was a rush of reporters trying to take his picture, and I was pushed into the road, and his ambulance ran over me. Both of my legs were broken, and my back was injured, and I was in the hospital for weeks. Evel was in a coma, and the day he woke up out of his coma, they told him what happened to me, and he wanted to see me right away. They wheeled me into his room, and we became roommates for a few days before they released me. He made ABC Sports pick up my hospital bill. We still exchange Christmas cards every year. Everyone at the table was silent, waiting for him to say something else, but there was nothing more that needed to be said. They were once again amazed by one of Henry's stories, but this one was special and had an extraordinary ending. Pinky finally broke the silence. Holy shit! Evel Knievel's ambulance ran over you? That's cool. The whole room laughed. The night continued with stories about Knievel's jumps, and the group added some of their own stories about stunts crazier than Evel had ever been involved in. Henry stayed sober with his Mr. Pibb, and Jack sat silently, drinking beer after beer, until he woke up the next day, the same way he did each day in Sturgis. End chapter 18.